Hello and welcome back. I'm still currently working on this wood lathe. I've almost got another video ready for that, so that should be out shortly. But I've also been busy with other machinery in the workshop as well. So I've got a few additions to the workshop. Let's go and take a look. I purchased this second-hand bandsaw about a month or so ago. Now it's in need of some repairs, so this will be a project which I'll get onto shortly. I bought this bandsaw to mainly cut up wood for turning on or preparing to turn on the wood lathe. This is a 14-inch Tanner bandsaw. So Tanner is a New Zealand brand, and it's got a cast iron upper body to it and cast iron pulleys on it, or wheels. And the lower part is just made out of panel steel. It has a 1/2 horsepower motor on it, which is probably enough for what I'm going to be using it for. Now, as you can see, it's going to need a little bit of work. This table's quite rusty, needs to be cleaned off and oiled up. The rubber tyres that go on these wheels here are perished and pretty much non-existent now, so I'm going to have to buy new rubber tyres for the wheels. Down the bottom, I don't know if you saw it before, but the wheels that were on this thing are pretty much junk. They're all wonky and flop around all over the place, so they'll be coming off. So this is going to be a project, or a restoration project, and I will be making a video when I get round to doing this project, and that will be up on YouTube for you guys to see. The next machine, which is new to the shop, although it's a second-hand machine, is a shaper. The brand is Alba. It's made in England. It's quite an old shaper. I don't really know what year it is, and I'm just showing some still photos that I took when we brought it home and unloaded it from the trailer. Now, this is quite a small shaper. That said, it is still very, very heavy. In fact, we had to take the table off and we had to separate the top from the base just to get it off the trailer. And there's 3 of us lifting it off. So this is the top part of the shaper here, and there is a scale on the sides. It goes up to 10. I presume that's a 10-inch shaper, so that'll probably give you some idea of what size it is. Again, this is going to be another project of restoring the shaper, or at least tidying up and getting it running, and that will be again another video that I'll put together for that. Now, I have no experience at all with shapers, so I'll probably have to reach out to some of our experienced colleagues out there on YouTube, like Rusty Knox and John's Workshop, maybe to ask them some questions about the shaper and to try and gain a little bit more knowledge about how it works and how to use it. Now, this shaper has a 3-phase motor in it, which is not a problem because I do have 3-phase power in the garage here. So I'm looking forward to starting to play around with this, clean it all up and get it going and use it on some of the future projects. This is the 3rd piece of equipment that I have in the workshop here, and this one is new. So I was kind of in the market for another lathe, as my Austrian lathe, which you can just sort of see the back of it at the top of the picture there, is limited to only 20mm bore size, so it can become quite restrictive when you need to turn wider stock and the stock does not fit down the bore of the lathe. I also needed the capability to do both metric and imperial threading, and the lathe at the back there is only set up for metric, and I don't have any change gears for imperial threads. So I decided to buy a new lathe, and a bit of a shout out to Matty from Matty's Workshop. I see in his videos he's got one of these Hafco branded lathes. I think it might be a little bit smaller than this one, but I did ask him how it went and he said it was great. So on that advice, I went round, had a look at a few of the lathes and decided to buy this one here. In terms of the specifications, the distance between centres is 1 metre. The swing over the bed is 356 millimetres. Up under the spindle there's a gap that can be removed as well, so you can get a larger swing there if you need it. The spindle bore size is 51 millimetres, and it uses the D5 cam lock system for the chuck. It comes with change gears for both metric and imperial threading, and just under the tailstock there's a built-in pump as well, so if you want to use cooling fluid, that can be used as well. The lathe here is positioned back to back with my existing Austrian lathe, and the footprint is probably about 200 millimeters or 8 inches longer, so it doesn't take up much more room. The downside is where the lathe is sitting now, there used to be a bench here that had a lot of stuff on it and a lot of stuff under it, so I have to figure out where to put all that stuff now. Now that grey shelf, or the back of the grey shelf at the end of the lathe there, that's just sitting there. It's kind of wobbly, it's got some bits and pieces in it, and that's sort of the back of the mill. You can see that at the top left hand corner, the green side of the mill there. So what I was going to do is build a new shelf that can be accessed from this side of the lathe, or this end of the lathe, and also the other side where I have some other workbenches. So it'll be quite a deep rack or shelf, and I'll split it down the middle so that I'll have all the lathe stuff on this side and the gear that I currently have in it on the other side. Again, that'll be another video, so there's a lot of work to do and there's a lot of videos to make. As you can see, I don't have a lot of room to put tooling and the rotating centre, etc., so they're just sitting down there. Now I do plan to build a little shelf like what I used to have, and it will sit in between these two lathes, so I can store items for both lathes on the shelf and I can access them from either side. So that's the new lathe. I have used it a few times already and I'm quite pleased with it. It runs very, very nicely. That's about all for the new machines and stuff in the workshop. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. I hope everyone has a great day, and thanks for watching.